Hey guys, and welcome back to Wind Waker HD. It's time for the first of two Sage dungeons, the Earth Temple.
Now that we know that Hyrule is under the ocean, we're actually going to be exploring two areas of that sunken Hyrule, which is not as exciting as it sounds because these dungeons might as well be part of the ocean as well, but, they had to add that twist of lore to these dungeons.
I have to say, out of the two, I think the Earth Temple is a little bit better overall, just in terms of design. It's a little bit creepier overall as well, which I guess helps.
I prefer the last one, but I like both of these. These two dungeons, every time I get asked, which game has best dungeons, I wish all of Wind Waker's dungeons were of this caliber.
Yeah.
Because that would set it so much higher in the list. The only problem is that you have the 2/3, first half dungeons, and those are they're on such a weak end of the Zelda spectrum that they really do bring down these last two dungeons. And these last two are so good.
They are pretty good. Make sure you bring Medli with you through doors, by the way. Otherwise the game will just be no, don't want to register.
Yeah, that's her shortcoming. She's a sage. She can awaken the power of the Master Sword. She can play a fine little ditty on that harp, but doors are apparently her weakness.
I've got ice arrows. I'm going to make use of ice arrows.
They gotta be useful in some game. Plus, we also need this money. We need all the money.
Oh yeah, there's getting slight heart palpitations here. I just remembered the original version of the game. Jesus Christ. I guess we could make comparisons to other Earth-based temples in the series. Are there any that immediately pop into your mind?
Earth tends to really be either taken up by fire or, forest theme. And even this, even though it's called the Earth Temple, it's more of a undead shadow-based temple. So there's not really much to go on in terms of, other Earth dungeons.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those underused. I mean, hell, even sand. Sand tends to be the Earth element in Zelda games. I mean, the wiki describes this as a darkness and light dungeon, which, correct.
I can kind of see that. I guess the closest comparison for that would be the Spirit Temple in Ocarina.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get to it, but the puzzles in this dungeon are all gonna involve light and its reflective properties.
Yep.
So it's a darkness-light dungeon called the Earth Temple. Whatever. Those crazy old Hyruleans, there's a reason they all died and drowned.
Well, was it us not being there to save them?
That, or it could also have been because they didn't know how to do their elements right.
True. Pretty neat puzzle to just get you to grips with the two-person mechanic. You put Link on one button, you fly Medli over to the other with the command melody, you throw her into a wall, you watch her dizzy animation, it's all good.
Because this game is cartoony, and thus makes it for little babies, or little kids, or anyone who has a sense of humor in the world.
You're really adamant about that viewpoint, aren't you?
Because I like cute stuff, and I don't like when cute stuff gets shit upon by assuming that cute means bad. No, cute means better. Get over it.
We don't have the means to reflect light right now, but thankfully, Medli's harp, apart from playing top 10 hits, can also reflect light.
Yeah. If you don't want to play the command melody, you can actually get her to follow you. And then because she looks at you, similar to Link's, mechanic where he looks at things of interest, Medli will look at you. And so what you can do is, if you stand in the light, you can sort of navigate her to turn her back to the enemies and get her to, light smack them. It's actually really fun playing as Medli. First time I got to play as Medli, I thought it was really cool that, hey, I'm not playing as Link. I mean, it's not the biggest deal, but still, it was a new thing. And at this point, Wind Waker was sort of giving me the whole, I've done this thing in a Zelda game before, I've done this thing before, I'm kind of tired of sailing when something new, and then, bam, playing as Medli. It's well, that's what I wanted, thank you.
And it gives the sages a bigger role in just being more personable with, like, the Hero of Time wins, etc., etc. They're not just, oh, thank you, hero, we will give you a medallion, bye!
It pissed me off, especially since you would run into them in the dungeon. It's like, Link, there is a great darkness. We will work together. Bye.
I was going to say, there's like a difference between talking about having good times and actually having good times.
Show not tell.
Yeah.
It's using all the media. It's like, boy, we sure are great friends. No. Show me.
This blue gas functions similarly to how bubbles work. Blue bubbles, I should say. I think I was on the very tail end of the gas coming back there. Like, when the hammer was slamming down, it hit me.
All I know is that I make that same face whenever I inhale the gas.
420!
Yeah, go watch Link's Awakening. Also, if you want to hit that button without controlling her, a lot of the tricks in this dungeon involve finding ways of still using Medli, but without actually having to play the command melody, because remember in the original, every time you would play it, it would play back to you, then you would assume control of Medli. So, there's a trick where you can jump off the ledge, and if you're airborne, Medli will actually sprout her wings and fly you a short distance. You can actually fly above the button, and before you actually descend into the fog, you can pull out your hammer and do like a jump slash and essentially like dive down onto the button with the hammer.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a cool little trick with a lot of this stuff.
I believe this is a small key. Man, we haven't done like dungeons of this length since Twilight Princess, I think.
Yeah, pretty much like I said, the first two are so short, so easy, so straightforward that it can leave a weird taste in your mouth, because everything outside the dungeon is pretty great. I just wish I could combine, like, the plot story progression of the first half with the dungeons of the second half, and have those two continue for the whole game.
Yeah.
And, like, essentially, if I were to describe my perfect Wind Waker, it would be that.
I don't think we've mentioned the black chews yet, or the black currant chews, I should say, because there's like a little tinge of purple in them. You shine light on them, and that's basically the only way you can kill them. You got to pick up the petrified versions and chuck them, or I guess you could use bombs or maybe the hammer.
Yeah, the secondary use is that once they become statues, you can use them as weights.
Just luring them like closer to the button. I'm setting up a puzzle here. It's all good. Oh, shades of that one fight in Majora's Mask.
Oh yeah, in Ikana Palace, or Ikana Castle?
Yep.
Yeah, see, the way I always deal with that fight is I just turn into Deku Link and I just stun them, and then kill them with bubbles.
I like to put on the captain's hat and just confuse the fuck out of the king.
Yeah, but he's only temporarily confused, and then he gets mad. But not really mad, because his AI doesn't change.
Yeah, he should have been really wondering, like, straight away, how'd you even get into the room?
Nobody questions the captain's size change, because it's Zelda.
Just in case I need to come back, which I won't.
Also, first dungeon where we don't have a spiritual stone on the doors. I mean, the Tower of the Gods did have one, but I mean, like, outside of that trial,
yeah,
this isn't tied to a specific older race of Hyrule. Like we said, this could be more of the Shadow Temple, this could be more of the Spirit Temple equivalent, so we're not entirely sure, like, which race this was with, even though its patron saint was Zora.
If I had to take a wild stab in the dark, I'd say, like, Shadow, first and foremost, because it just reeks of death.
Yeah, and so, like I said, they could have just put the Shikanai everywhere, but I think that would kind of diminish this dungeon. Like, it would just make it feel too much like, oh, I'm doing the same thing again.
Yeah.
Like, that's another thing that I like about about these dungeons, is that they feel like something new. The Volcano Magma dungeon felt like the older Volcano Magma dungeon. The Forest dungeon felt like another Forest dungeon. This feels, I mean, even though it's a theme that has been done before, it feels different.
Unique, yeah.
Exactly. And like I said, with the game that took so much risk in its art style to be unique, it sucks that the dungeon design was following, Zelda dungeon design by the numbers.
Medli, could you get that, please? I've only got 2 hands over here.
We can't have good enough AI at this point, and honestly, if they did, we would probably hate her more.
Also, I'm a sage. I'm here to play ditties, perform ceremonies, not get compasses out of chests.
I mean, even though this whole escort dungeon is nothing new, I mean, come on. Descended from Azora, she's a girl that you're carrying around the dungeon. She even does the exact same pose as Princess Ruto when you're carrying her. I just like that she's more useful than being thrown at a switch on the ceiling. Like, we can control her, we can fly with her, which I did not expect. Like, even when I controlled her for a little bit, it's like, oh, that's cool, I can make her walk, but no, you can fly with Medli.
Alright, let's continue. Remind me to pick up some more of Granny's soup. Ice to see you. Freeze well.
Have a nice day. What do you think of the new Poe design? Because this is a very important question for this dungeon.
They're simultaneously silly and a little bit creepy. I'm not sure if you'll be able to make this out when I put it on YouTube, but their voice is high-pitched until they charge at you, and then it becomes like a unearthly kind of like growl.
Yeah, it's kind of like they took the bubble laugh and then just toned it down more.
Yeah.
I like how they look like they're in PJs.
Yeah, they're in like a fucking footsie suit or whatever it's called.
Yeah. And then added thing is that they will possess you. That's creepy as fuck.
Yeah, they'll reverse your controls. It's not permanent, and they will just die if you let them. But if there's like a moblin in the room, it can be problematic.
They are invulnerable because they're fucking ghosts. So you gotta shine the light onto them to make them physical, and then you can finally kill them. Another creepy thing too is that when they possess you, like their mask floats above your head laughing. It's like, wow, what a dick.
Bit of a foreshadow, just Poe's being here in general to the boss of the dungeon.
Well, yeah. I mean, because the other bosses were kind of... Well, no. You had plants with the plant boss. The Tower of the Gods definitely a bit different, even though there are statues all over the place, so a statue boss shouldn't be out of the question.
Yeah.
And I guess you could count the fire centipedes as alluding to Goma.
They're like right towards the end though, or at least from the middle onwards.
Yeah, so they do a pretty good job of... I think there's only one boss in this game that can catch you a bit off guard as to, wait, that's the boss? What?
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I'm looking forward to that one.
I'm not, because HD music.
Oh, dude. They're here. Redads.
I love these designs. For being the most cartoony looking, they are the most terrifying in the entire franchise.
Like, first you get the scream, and then it's like a voodoo zombie or something.
Yeah, and it's starved, so you see the freaking pelvic crest and the spine and all that. Ugh. God. And yeah, the scream is like 10 times, no, 100, no, million times worse. There we go. No less than 1 million.
Alright, you're kind of overselling it, but I agree. This is a great design for the Redeads. And then in like Twilight Princess, they become knights. So it's like, oh, this thing was designed to fight, so I will fight it. No, it's not like an undead force of nature or anything.
Yeah, because then you gotta... Especially since they're in caskets, so it's like, what were you doing there? Did someone put you there? Who did this to you? I will get rid of them.
Like, this isn't a Poe, which is obviously a force of evil. This is a corpse that is in a fucking casket.
Yeah, that was probably taken over by evil.
Possibly.
Evil's fucking scary.
It is.
I gotta put you down before I enter the door. This is the man door.
You notice how the thing on the door has horns? Kind of Ganon-like horns?
Yeah. I do like how it's a different skull than everything else in the dungeon, so, it indicates that it's a special door. So a mini-boss that can actually last more than 5 seconds so we can hear the song.
Oh, yes. Yes, please!
Alternatively, if you want to listen to this song for the rest of the dungeon, you can actually jump onto one of these caskets that the Stalfos is coming out of. Because at the end of this, we're going to find a way to get up on top of that platform. Or you could get on the casket and use your Deku Leaf to just float to the item, skipping the mini-boss entirely.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and you would think that, well, how does that let me listen to the boss music longer if I'm just skipping the fight? Because since you didn't beat the mini-boss, the game is just going to continue playing the mini-boss theme for the rest of the dungeon.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, you completely ruined the tone, but fuck it, this mini-boss theme is worth it.
That should be a feature of Hero Mode, actually. Like, whenever you go into a dungeon, it just plays the mini-boss theme on loop.
The Hyrulean iPod lets you pick what song you want to play at all times.
Like the tablets you can pick up in Skyward Sword or something.
It would make just as much sense as the fact that in Peace Walker and Metal Gear Solid, you can have a, 2000 year iPod in the 60s.
Yeah.
Because your research and development team is just that good.
I loved the mirror shield in Ocarina. You know, the red and silver go together beautifully. But this kind of simple, understated blue and silver number works as well. Jesus Christ, I'm describing it like it's at a fashion show or something.
Oh my, and here comes the next fall season line.
Yeah, expect to see the mirror shield in Zoolander 2.
He can only turn right. Or was it left? I don't know. But I think it's probably my favorite mirror shield. I actually don't really like the Majora's Mask mirror shield, and I like it even less in the 3D.
Yeah, I kind of agree. In terms of story and whatnot, it's great, and I'm sure we could have many a discussion about it. But visually, I'm gonna have to go with the red and silver beauty.
Because everyone's like, oh, but it's an anguish shield, and there's probably a spirit in it. It's like, and it looks like doo-doo.
I get why it looks like that. I'm just not digging it on an aesthetic level.
It's also kind of funny too. The Poes have lanterns, and they drop them when they turn physical. But from certain angles, it almost looks like you shining light on the Poe causes them to spontaneously combust. But that's a bit too mature. Oh, but Possessed Corpse, totally A-okay.
Right, Medli, come on. We're gonna do some reflection puzzles here.
So glad we don't have to hear that song played back to us.
Seriously, it's like, I give Nintendo a lot of shit these days, and I try to keep it reasonable, but I also like to give credit where credit is due. Removing that one, repetition makes dungeons so much more palatable.
Also, instead of doing this whole puzzle, there is an angle you can stand on that platform where you can just shine the light directly below you. Because the hitbox of that wall is kind of like a bubble, it curves outward. So once again, just another trick that, it doesn't save too much, but when the song is played back to you and Medli has to walk over there, it adds up when you have to do that for every single puzzle.
Do you think they could have streamlined it even more? Say if you use it once in a dungeon, you just have to press a single, button, or even a thing on the touchpad or the gamepad to activate it instantly.
I think so, especially since, because this was one thing we were wondering when Majora's Mask 3D came out, was that in the bottom screen they have, there are buttons that you can push in for every song. It would have been nice if that was a fast play button.
Yeah.
So it would have been cool if on the pad, I don't know how it would work in conjunction with, having the controller, but at least with the pad, pushing the songs button could have, just allow you to instantly controller. Or you play the command melody, and then it turns the come on vocal command into the control.
There you go.
There's a lot of things you could do.
Similar earrings on this statue here to the Redeads.
Yeah, but now it's sunny, and it's lovely now. Kind of reminds me of Gerudo, but probably because the nose is big, which I am so sorry.
Even here, down in the earth, you can see, patterns of the wind painted everywhere. It just makes, a nice, consistent aesthetic, you know what I mean?
Although that doesn't make sense, because the wind is important on the ocean because you use it for sailing. This is part of old Hyrule where it was just a giant landmass. And more importantly, this is the Earth temple, why would you have symbols to celebrate the wind in your Earth temple?
Do you think that's a case of the game designers loving their own mythos a bit too much?
Yeah, that's what I honestly think. Or, just the mythos gets too big and too heavy that after a while you have to just say fuck it and do stuff that looks nice.
What's cool about these big markers is that they essentially mark, as markers want to do, they mark like the quarter point of the dungeon, the halfway point, so it's very easy to keep track of how deep you are into like the Earth dungeon and the next one that's coming up.
I really like that the stone tablets have the song on them.
Yeah.
So if you forget, you can just look at the rock.
It's also on the gamepad as well, by the way. I don't think I actually mentioned that yet, but, I'm not one to look down at the gamepad. At least with Ocarina and Majora 3D, I'm physically holding the thing, like, near to my face.
I do like how, I don't know if it's specifically to those enemies, but Link's auto combo changed a bit there. Instead of, like, a jump spin, he just stopped and just downward swung his sword onto their faces. That was cool.
I think it's because they were crouching, or maybe because the Redeads and I guess the Star Fosses as well are just like so tall. He has to get a bit more acrobatic.
Yeah, that's probably what it is, that they're crouching. So he has different auto combos for enemy sizes. Yeah, see, like right there, if you just undone, it was like assume control.
Assuming direct control.
It's like, Medli, I don't want to startle you, but when you kind of passed out there and had your drug-induced hallucination, I may have implanted a mind control chip. Don't worry, it's totally in the Zelda canon because Miyamoto wanted the Triforce to originally be microchips. It's all good.
The blue poo gas, it makes it so I can't use any of my weapons.
It makes me so stinky I don't want to do a thing. Also Scorpion. Trying to... I mean, we get Scorpion bosses later in the series, but I'm trying to think of any other areas that will use the Scorpion in its symbology.
You mentioned scorpions. There is a Scorpion boss in the Earth-ish temple in Skyward Sword.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That it's just always kind of weird when you see new animals being used. Even if there is a boss, like, once or twice, it's still weird seeing just a random animal, like the bull in Arbiter's Ground, and now the scorpion in the Earth Temple.
Okay, now that we've set up that big-ass mirror, we can actually go around and make use of it.
Yeah, this entire second half is kind of interesting, because before it was like, solve this one light puzzle to get through the room, but this feels more like you're setting up several rooms for one big puzzle, which I like that, because the thing about Zelda puzzles is that they're not all that difficult. Like, light this torch. Okay, I can do that. But when it's more like, light this torch so you can do this thing, so you can move this piece, so now you can solve the real puzzle. Like, that makes it a bit more interesting, and then it makes your game seem less easy.
The big puzzle of the dungeon is actually a massive setup. And then the payoff is that you get, like, the master key. So, it just works, really.
Yeah, like I said, these dungeons are really, really well designed. It beats the hell out of the progressing from room to room to room of the first 3 dungeons, so. Also really surprised on the symbol on that block, too. I mean, you mentioned that there were wind symbols in this dungeon. Now I'm trying to see what else I can pick up from here, because if you want to be super, like, out there and do theories, like, that's definitely one source of information, is what symbols are used within the dungeons.
Well, if you're gonna make theories, just don't make it a game theory, okay?
Yeah, it's like, at least use evidence, and at least use some Occam Razor when you're making theories, okay?
I saw people unironically quoting the, like, Mario is Rosalina's father or uncle or some shit on the Game Grumps playthrough at Galaxy.
I still think one of the best is, no, your theory is right, I saw it on Game Theory. It's like, no. What?
Do you understand what the word theory means?
Do you understand that the whole point of that series is that they're trying to show what kind of stupid shit can they get people to buy on the internet, and guess what? You fell for it!
I won't go that far or that cynically, but I tend to like my own theories and balls to anyone else, really.
I stopped caring when they were like, did you know that the Spanish-American War was fought over bananas? It's like, no, because the acquisition of the banana stocks didn't happen for 20 years after the Spanish-American War, so chill the fuck out.
What the hell does that have to do with video games?
They were trying to say that Donkey Kong Country was one big parallel to the American invasion of
fucking
Cuba.
Kiss my ass.
Yeah. Like I said, because bananas grow in Central America, so that must have been what the war was about. It's like, I'm pretty sure you can look up several, books on that will tell you, just look up Rough Riders, and you'll know what the war was about.
Jesus Christ. Oh, okay, let's move off that particularly angry tangent. Sorry, I didn't realise I could get so angry so fast, but this is a cool place. It's just all lined with coffins or caskets, and yes, there are a few re-deads, scattered about.
The catacombs.
Oh yeah, the catacombs.
I know it's not. I like to pronounce catacombs as catacombs. Because it makes a place with a bunch of dead people seem more fun. It's like we tested this name with our focus group and we found it to have an 85% more positive approval. People are more likely to tour the catacombs.
We can just progress now, but I want to make all the coffin doors crack. Yeah, because I'm just a bit of a prick, really.
So you want to disturb the dead.
They're disturbing me right now.
That's what you get. That guy was just trying to take a nap, an eternal nap, and you ruined it.
I don't show this off at any point in the playthrough because honestly I was going for as smooth a run as possible. But if you allow the re-dead to grab you, either on purpose or by accident, they'll act similarly to how they did in Ocarina and I guess Majora. I can't really remember if they show up there or if it skipped those. But they'll start choking you, and it's actually kind of graphic.
Oh yeah, because with this one they add a pelvic thrust animation, and it's more visible because of the more exposed pelvic region. Whereas with the re-dead, it was more about the arms. But with the Ocarina of Time re-deads, there was more arm movement. In Wind Waker, there's some hip action. And they are in Majora's Mask, I know, in the Iconic Castle, but, everyone always has the captain's mask on, so they're just busy dancing instead of actually trying to grope you.
Oh, yeah.
And then Twilight Princess, yeah, they're just more knights. But that's, like I said, I think that probably adds to the credit that the Arbiter's Ground is just so corrupt with evil because of the shard that it rises the dead. Yeah, these stones take way too long. I'm so glad that you can just use Medli to clip out of bounds and leaf float behind them.
Always the speedrunner's way of doing things, huh?
Yeah, it's like, you could have just played the song. I could have, or I could take advantage of the fact that Medli uses the exact same physics as a jar and a bomb, and will actually push you before you can push it, and will shove you into the wall.
I actually really like this area, just that long staircase leading down here, and then this other flight of stairs here. I think through here is the big puzzle I was actually talking about.
Well, Zelda has done lots of towers before. It's kind of cool to do a descent, just a direct drop, especially since it's the Earth Temple, so it would be pretty weird if it was just, oh, there's dead things in here, but to actually go deep into ground, through the layers of Earth. Although, to go along with that would have been really cool if the coloration in the ceiling and walls changed to be now that you're deeper, this temple was made with different materials.
I want to know how light is getting down from the surface, so unfiltered.
Yeah, kind of makes you wonder, if you were to look at, not what the in-game map, but, what the game tries to make you believe the dungeon's, placement is, if there's actually breaks in that light. Because that games will always try to in order to save space, even though a room may be in front in the game, but in the actual game's code it's probably over to the right.
I think what I like about this puzzle, not just because it's kind of easy and relaxing, is that there's no enemies to get in the way here at all. Oh, there's some off inside rooms, but it just seems like one big test for you, right at the end, that puts the gimmick of the dungeon to the ultimate test.
Yeah, because it would be fucking frustrating if every time you were trying to shine your mirror shield on a symbol, a random bubble just decided to bump into you and paralyze you, and now you gotta wait, and now this puzzle that could have been commended for being a really neato puzzle is now shit upon because it's frustrating because of the enemy placement. And thank you for demonstrating the light effect in this game. Much appreciated. Light does look very good.
I don't know whether it's just my colour settings, but it kind of looks a bit grainy. Maybe that's just my capture card.
I'm pretty sure that's how it's supposed to look, because that's sort of what, like, light shining through dust looks like. I mean, it's grainy because the light is being filtered through grains.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm just trying to help you calm down, dude. It'll all be okay. The playthrough will be a rousing success. The menace.
Shinies.
Oh, Link, you and your OCD.
The game starts throwing rupees at you at this point, and it's probably a good job it does, because there's going to be a big money crunch coming up.
It's almost like they know how to design a game. But, when you're given your limitations, like, you gotta do this, at least they were trying to make the best of it, and they saw where the frustrations would lie.
Those things that lie on top of blocks and whatnot that you need to use light on, are you seeing kind of a Viking vibe to those?
Kind of, although I do have a hard time, and this is just due to my ignorance, I have a hard time telling the difference between Viking and Celtic. And like I said, that is based solely on my own ignorance. I'm not saying that they look similar at all, but I've said that a couple times, oh, that's really cool Viking tattoos, it's Celtic. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Don't worry about it, it's fun. Right, one side of the room is done, now we gotta do the other. It's like poetry, it rhymes.
Chill it, Lucas.
What if George Lucas made a Zelda game?
No thank you.
Oh yeah.
No fucking thank you.
Isn't LucasArts disbanded now, or am I thinking of something else?
I know they're not making any games because the new Battlefront is being made by EA.
Oh yeah, EA and DICE.
Oh yeah, by DICE. That's it was one of these companies that's making new Battlefront I approve of, and it can't be EA, but yeah, it's DICE. But rip LucasArts, makers of fine games such as Zombies Ate My Neighbors.
And The Secret of Monkey Island?
Yes, the Monkey Island games. Wouldn't it be great if the guy whose username had monkey in it was able to commentate over the Monkey Island games? I know I would have enjoyed that.
Well, the guy who has monkey in his name wasn't available at the time we did the thing, so... I would like to give a shout out to dogs, who were probably the only people/animals who were able to understand what I just said.
My dogs say hype.
Ouch. Just looking around for any rupees I might have missed.
That's what you're looking for? I would have been looking for more shit to make sure I didn't fuck up the puzzle. Get up on there.
Nice.
Dude, she stuck the landing.
Well.
I like the little, taking control ditty.
Got a bit of a Schwami vibe to it.
Yeah, that's what I would have said. Although I didn't know what the exact word was, so thank you for reminding me that it is Schwarmy.
Well, I had to dig into my vast vocabulary. I shifted past aesthetic, I went past whatnot, and I found a new word.
I learned a new word today. Good for you, Jimmy.
Did you see that? I actually shone it on the mirror, and it bounced back and hit the wall for me.
Nice. I remember being super fascinated by light reflecting as a kid. Although I can probably blame that on 1 or 2 episodes of the Magic School Bus.
With the frizz? No way.
Oh, now I'm sad. Excuse me, I'm leaving this commentary to go watch Magic School Bus. Bye-bye.
Magic School Bus comes fucking when?
When they make a video game? Well, they probably did, but it was probably a cereal box CD-ROM game.
I'm talking about the show, dude.
Oh. But that's gonna get freaking taken down and claimed and all kinds of legal things that I don't want to deal with.
No, we do audio-only stuff. So we put up the common and we let people sync it up.
And plug.
You were in the original Disney font. Do you not remember
I
this? Yeah, there you go.
do.
Okay, getting back on topic. Same thing with like the giant happy sun face before. We've made it so light is shining from both sides of the room. So now it's time to shine both streams of light into here and open the path to the master key.
Teamwork. Although it would have been kind of cool, and I'm just putting this out there, if the room was actually divided in two, and there was a way for Medli to solve one half of the room all by herself, and then Link had to solve his half of the room all by himself.
A woman solving puzzles on her own?
Well, I'll just let you know, Zelda was the protagonist in 2 Zelda games, even though they were absolute shit, so it doesn't fucking count.
Yeah, it's kind of insulting if you think about it.
Yep. I see you're using tactics to cleverly space your enemies.
Uh-huh.
Good job.
Well, if you just let the blue bubbles hit you, you'll lose control of your sword, and not the best thing you want to deal with when there's darkness about.
Yeah, because, especially with the Dark Nuts, the enemies that you actually need your controls, because it's better to fight them with good positioning.
I just noticed that I took out that Dark Knight extremely fast. I guess that's the power of the Master Sword for you, even if it is depowered right now.
Yeah, I was wondering, it's like, wait, you're just going to leave them there for later, but no, went down pretty quickly. Must have got a boom headshot. Also, it took me until the 36-minute mark to realize that the skulls on the doors are bubbles. So, yeah. I was like, man, there's all these skulls on the door, but I get why, but now it's like, oh, it's a skull and a flame. Oh. Way to go, me. The models with that light effect, not the best.
Not a fan?
No, not really. Like, it makes them look more like toys. I know that the same could be said for the original models, but at least the originals just look like, I don't know, they look like they were drawn. No matter in what light, they look like they had been drawn into the game. But these look like figures, like toys.
Well, again, it's, the original was proper cell shading. In here, at certain points, it looks like, what's the word I'm looking for? Claymation?
Yeah, that's what I would probably say, but like I said, they didn't make... The processors that are rendering this game weren't made for this game. It was just whatever the Wii U had on board. And it was like, well, here's what the Wii U does to this game. Enjoy. And the only time that they actually went in and fixed it was if it caused geometric problems or it caused someone's head to screw on the body backwards.
It's like Pikmin 3. That started life as a Wii game. I'm not sure if it was a GameCube game. But, yeah, that's just it was ported over to the Wii U and given a touch-up and bada bing, bada boom. There you go.
Gotta make games somehow. It's even with game developers, they're well, it works. Here you go.
They just weren't ready for HD development, let's be honest here.
Well, yeah, because all the other companies had years of practice. I mean, you gotta compare the Wii U to, what were the tech issues of the PS3 and 360, because sort of at that same level of development knowledge.
And it has kind of, similar problems to, early 360 games in that there's, bloom everywhere, but I could spend all day talking about bloom and its overuse. Let's instead talk about the boss of the Earth Temple, Jahala.
I love this part. I like how the pose are just chillaxing and then they decide to all combine.
By your both combined, I am really, really fat.
We're gonna do the old you-know-what. What? Combined!
In Zelda tradition, we gotta use the dungeon item to effectively destroy this guy. So just shine some light on him.
Until he gets hurt. There you go. And then you just enjoy the good music.
Oh yeah.
Make sure you throw them into spikes. They're all over the room. You can't miss it, guys.
If you have the Hurricane Spin at this point, which you can get by giving Orko back on the outset 10 hero crests, it makes this fight a fucking joke. But honestly, it's kind of a joke anyway.
Yeah, also, if you have the sniper skills of a god, arrows in Wind Waker have an interesting mechanic where they will inflict damage until they hit a solid object. And enemies aren't solid, so all arrows are piercing. if you can, like I said, have the skills of a god, you can actually shoot arrows and snipe it through any pose that line up in a straight line.
Nice.
But like I said, that requires you to have good aim, and it also requires the pose to all cooperate and line up for you.
Actually, I take it back. We're technically using 2 items in this fight. We've got the dungeon item, but we've also got the power bracelets.
That is true, which were the necessary to get in dungeon item. What do you do, Jaha? I don't get why the light just makes him sleepy.
I don't get why he's wearing like a little waistcoat.
Because fashion. High fashion, bitch.
I guess so.
Even the pose running around doesn't get all that frustrating, because usually with bosses like this, the problem is one or two decide to go on opposite sides of the room and you can't seem to get to them, but the pose are big enough enemies that even when they break apart and run around, they're still easy targets.
What's really awkward is he can reform even if there's just one left, which technically shouldn't work, although who am I to say how ghosts should work. But thankfully, and yes, that did happen, by the way, I'm getting to the point. When I was done with this, I had done 3 or 4 takes, and you can see the running time of this, so you can probably guess how long my recording sessions are. I forgot to save. I was so tired at that point, I just turned the gamepad off, and obviously that turns the console off. So I was like, oh god, so I just did it again, and I actually got a much smoother take, so I'm kind of happy.
Nice, nice. Also, I like how getting that heart piece in the light, his shield is still shining. So that was it? That just a big ghost is what was keeping the Master Sword from killing shit. Okay.
How many people died in this place? Because the skulls are all over, and they're not bubbles.
They were probably the acolytes of the temple.
Possibly.
Yeah, so that's gotta suck. You serve your entire life in the service of a temple, only for darkness to corrupt your body and turn you into a specter that blocks the good that you were trying to serve.
You don't think one of them's Naruto, do you?
No, you're trying, like, the ghost in Link's Awakening? Just a random fish skull in the back? Oh, God, it's terrible.
The deepest lore. Sick duet right here.
Oh, I love this. It's up there with Dragon Roost.
Do you want me to completely ruin this scene for you?
Do it.
Keep a close eye on Link.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's actually both in the original, is that they're just cycling through his conduction motions for the song, which ends. Yeah, Nintendo, you silly gooses, you.
Naruto out.
Peace. And yes, the fish sage gave our sword fins.
Nice.
He restored some power.
Well, at least it actually looks like the Master Sword now.
We could roll with this. I don't see why not. I mean, if Link just pumps some iron, he could use a half-powered sword.
Just paint like the little crystal thing yellow and you're good to go.
Exactly.
Well, don't mind me, Link. I'm just going to stay here in this dank, dark place, which, by the way, you didn't completely rid of zombies and dark things, and hopefully not get destroyed. Bye!
Can you maybe bring me a sandwich? There's not even meat on these skulls.
So I can't hear you over the sound of me warping outside.
The wind is really strong!
Tell who you miss him.